the more you sweat in training, the less you bleed in battle. The more you sweat in training, the less you bleed in battle. I would say the more you exercise relentless discipline and execution right now, right, the more opportunity you're going to have in the future. Make a lot of money, serve a lot of people. Don't be a dumbass with your money, right? Sit on it, right? Okay. Scale yourself. And when the market turns down again, which it will, you're sitting on a boatload of capital to create generational wealth. That's what I want for every single person that's listening, that's part of us, that's not part of us, is that future for yourself, your family, your kids, your kids' kids. So, but it does require, it comes at the cost of sacrifice, hard work, and massive discipline. So,
welcome back to the Cracking the Code, where we dig into the strategies and stories that help you grow smarter, lead stronger, and scale with confidence. Today's guest needs no introduction to anyone serious about performance in real estate. Bill Pipe is a master sales trainer, elite coach, and a speaker who's helped thousands of agents, brokers, and team leaders elevate their mindset, sharpen their skills, and completely transform their business. Whether it's from the main stage, a boot camp, or a private coaching session, Bill delivers with heart, heat, and a high impact. Bill, it's a real honor to have you on the show today. How you doing, Bill?
dude, I'm rocking and rolling, dude. How are you, sir?
Thanks for joining today, man. I appreciate it. I know you're a busy man.
Yeah. Well, we're all busy right now. It's like this time of the year that, you know, like I just got off the road, brother, from 4 weeks on the road, like anywhere from 2 to 4 days of travel. So, you know, it's nice to sleep in my own bed, but I'm committed. I have been committed. And I had one of my clients actually say this to me. They're like, man, you're making me want to work harder as much as you're out there. And that was probably one of the best compliments I've had all year. I was like, good.
I'm sure
I'm going to lead from the front, you know what I mean? And do everything that I can. So it's great to be here. I know it took some time for us to get it going, but let's rock and roll.
Absolutely. To share your knowledge and, you know, to our listeners, because we have quite a few of those, you know, to get to pick your brain. And I'm trying to be as humble as I can and try to ask the right questions. And I know that's difficult for everyone. But yeah, off camera, we were talking about, you know, how the state of the market is right now. And that, you know, you're thinking that perhaps you should be more focalized on some events and whatnot. You know, what is it? What is the read that you have in the markets today as it is?
You know, it's interesting because all the events that I'm leading right now, where I'm going in for, you know, all, 2-3 hour talks across North America, I always start off with the question, how was 2025 for them? And I get like grind. I have them write down one word, and like the word is like grind, difficult, challenging. You know, we have some people that are like, man, it was a great year, but that's the anomaliic. I mean, most people are like, yeah, even the ones that had a good year, they're like, I'm working 50% more than I have in the past. You know what I mean? I'm putting in more, I'm putting in more time. It's taking more energy. It's taking more effort. So I don't think there's anybody out there that's going to go, dude, 2025, that was an easy year, right? And we're feeling it too. You know what I mean? Like we definitively, I'm really proud of our coaches, our coaching clients, and what we're doing, because, you know, our ecosystem of coaching clients and great agents and leaders and big teams, you know, they're up about 21% year over year. And so in a year like this, where you look at it, brother, and, you know, last year, 2024 was 4.1 million sales. This year, I thought we were going to for sure come up from that, but we came in at 4.034 is what the pace is right now. So, and when you really take that into consideration, because I'm a big data over drama guy, right? Where I believe you look at the data, you remove the drama, it gives you your plan, you adjust your strategy around that. This year, 4.034, this will make it the lowest number of sales that we've had in 36 years, right? Last year was 5 years. We're going to be below that. So by all means and purposes, this year has been like a warrior year for agents, right? It's been one just had to be like 200,000 agents are projected to get out of the business, right? You know, like putting us down to about 1.1, 1.2 million agents that are still going to be here. Those are the warriors, man. You know what I mean? So, or they're the ones that have deep pockets and are like waiting this to get out. So
we've been in housing recession, I would say, since mid 2022, right?
So mid 2022,
23, 24, 25. Do you see us coming out of that recession in 2026, or you still think that we're going to be somewhere there?
Dude, I have had my crystal ball dropped on my foot so much. I'm so like literally, I'm like, oh, ow, a broken foot. For it's interesting. I think this market is primed for a comeback, and it's one of those things where you feel it bubbling, and then it comes, and then it comes back. We saw the market begin to pick up in February. Many of you guys will remember this. Like, the
Yes.
rates came down. Agents were like, "Oh man, here we go." And then we've had multiple events this year that have caused that like little pullback. Obviously, the trade wars. Who would have known that Trump would have done a trade war with the entire world, right? So normally it's like
Liberation Day.
China. Right now we got to we're gonna take on the whole world, right? And so that really did, I think, delay any type of confidence in the market from consumers, right? And I think that's one of the things that's missing is some confidence in the real estate market by consumers, buyers and sellers, and also confidence in the economy. So then we came back out of that, and around July or August, we saw the market pick back up again. Many of you felt that, right? And then we rolled into the second event, which was a 42-day government shutdown. All of that, and this. If someone's not certain, they don't move forward with plans, for themselves. You know what I mean? Like they just don't, right? So, they'll pull back. Right. And in times of uncertainty, people either fight, flight, or freeze. And we're just in that like flight or freeze moment, I think, as we're waiting to see okay, what's going to happen economically? What's going to happen in terms of interest rates? Because you got 70 to 74% of people are saying it's rates that are keeping them back. It's affordability. So now interesting.
I mean, normally it is.
Yeah.
Normally it is rates.
On this. Check this out, though. Typically, when you look at the U.S. market and how it begins to actually stage a comeback, it happens in the U, right? In the U shape. It happens in California, Arizona, Texas, Atlanta, Florida, and up a little bit in the mid-Atlantic seaboard. What we're seeing right now, the clients that I have that are literally crushing it, I mean, like adding $1 million to their production this year, up 40, 50%. It's Minnesota, it's Michigan, it's Ohio, I call it, right?
Who would have thought, right?
There's constant. And I saw that happening because obviously I get to see it scale because I still coach about 37 large teams. And I started seeing my teams in those areas, not like doing a lot more than what the other teams in the U who are doing the same type of effort, right? These guys are getting a lot more. And why is that? I was just with a good coaching client, his name's Brandon Landro, and he said, man, we're just still affordable. And so that affordability context is so critical because those areas are affordable, whereas the U has become unaffordable. And the only way that you battle that affordability is by lowering rates, making payments more palatable, and being able to have buyers move forward.
Yeah, I think if we get at least to sub 6%, we'll get some stuff going. I mean, that doesn't mean that we're going to get a lot of traction, but we're going to be neutral territory if we're sub 6%, right? So I'm hoping that we can get there sometime, first, second quarter next year. Because I was really hoping that was going to happen, like you said, in 2025.
I thought it was going to happen by December. Yeah.
Right, like the trade war, the government shut down, and a whole bunch of things that happened. And it's like, well, it's not going to happen this year for sure. And now, there is some sort of civil war in the Fed. Jerome Powell fighting with some of his presidents,
a complete
and
pissing match.
Hawkish, not hawkish.
It's a pissing match for sure, man. So we got the civil war in the Fed, as well too. It's interesting. But
so what kind of conversations are you having with these large teams that are crushing it? Are you telling them to double down in 2026 or just stay and see, wait for the lights to shine up?
So let's go back to that projection of 2026, okay? Like where the market's going to go and what it's going to do. May's a big date, right? Talking to Logan Motoshami, being in communication with Simonson, some of the great economists that are out there. What we all know is come May, guys, it's a big turning point. Why? Because we're getting a new Fed chair in, right? That Fed chair is determined and actually appointed by Trump. Trump has made it, whether you like him or not, has made it very clear he is a proponent of lower rates for mortgages, right? Okay. So he's going to install someone, right? Chris Waller, maybe. I forget what the other guy's name is. It's head of economic development for the U.S. One of those two people are going to go in there. And they're going to be more, I think they're going to be more of a yes man to Trump, right? And so what that means, than the pushback that JP, that Jerome Powell has. So you'll see lower rates come May, maybe in advance. Once the announcement is made, the markets could actually respond to that, right? And the second half of this year have some lift, right? Next year have some lift, right? So what am I saying?
Amen.
Yeah, watch. Fingers crossed. It's strong. But you know what's really interesting, dude, is that when the market was hot, people were bitching, complaining, and moaning. I can't find homes for my sellers that want to sell. And now the market's like normalized or challenging, right? And people are complaining. There's always going to be something that agents find a reason to complain versus taking responsibility. And there's always a strategy or a tactic depending upon the market that you can use. So what we're teaching our top teams specifically right now is this. To offset the uncertainty, it takes, instead of 6 conversations, which we've seen from our client base, 6 conversations through follow-up to be able to get someone to move forward, we're seeing 11, 12, 13, 14, right? It's just why? Because there's the only way you control a narrative is through bringing data, bringing information, right? Having conversations, sending information, and that just takes longer right now. Subsequently, we're also telling them you got to increase your number of, and I know you guys probably aren't going to like this answer, but you got to increase the number of calls that you're making in terms of new outbound prospects, right? And this could be increase your marketing as well too, for those that are more marketing based, like 20 to 30%. And that's that, like the marketing piece. I was just with a good buddy of mine, Nazar Kalaji, that owns a company called Five, small national company. He said, actually it was Andy Dane Carter that was on stage at the event with me. And Andy Dane Carter, great agent in Long Beach, right? Big team, said, when everyone's spending money on marketing because the market's good, that's when I pull back. When everyone is actually not spending, that's when he leans in and spends more. And that's a scary position to be in, to trust that you're going to see that return, right? So what we're telling, keep in mind, marketing can be the calls I make or the check equity that I'm spending on social posts, on pay-per-click, on Zillow, on whatever, on Realtor, right? But it's doubling down on that. It's a 20 to 30 to 40% increase with the same results. So that's what we're doing.
I mean, that's what I do essentially in VOOV, virtual assistants. Like I double down when last year when the market took a left, I doubled down on marketing. And this year I increased my marketing. I spent probably in the last, 90 to 120 days, $100,000 in marketing. But for us, November was our best month of the year.
Beautiful.
So far,
yeah,
it's been the best month.
Yeah.
But we went all the way in, right? Like we did events, email marketing,
you guys
Facebook
were with
ads,
us, you were at our events, you were with Tom, you were with all these, you were with Chep, like you were with all of us, man.
I went all in, brother.
Yeah.
Went all in because I said, if I don't go all in, I'm going to get caught in hot water.
That's right.
In January, December.
Yeah.
So I think, the same principle applies to any business. And, Warren Buffett said this, when there's blood on the streets, you buy, right? So when you know that things are pulling back, if you pull back as well, I mean, you're going to be one of the casualties. You have to pull forward. Yeah. You have to move forward. I'm sorry. You have to do it. So I had a question for you because, I noticed that you have a very specific coaching method.
Yep.
And you're very passionate, energetic, a lot of heat, a lot of heart. Like when you pick your clients, do you pick clients that align with that kind of heat,
what a great question.
Sentiment?
I think I mean, if you look at one of the primary laws of physics, I think that naturally occurs. Like energy is attracted to like energy, right? So I will tell you, I'm repelling to some and I'm attracted to others. And the ones that I'm repelling to, people always, someone said to me, man, people are talking about your hair. And I'm like, good. They're talking about it, right? You know what I mean? At least they talk.
Right.
And she said, well, they're saying X, Y, and Z. I go, cool. They're never going to be clients of mine because they're not attracted to the energy that I have, the focus, the grit, my talk about grind, everything else, right? They just aren't attracted. So when we look for someone that we're going to align with, because when I built the company, I said, we're not going to be for everyone. We're just not. We'll be smaller by design. Okay. And the client that we were looking for is that mid-tier agent that's at a couple $100,000, 150, sort of our base, right? Up to, anywhere above that, that says, I want to go over, or I want to add $1 million to my production over the course of the next 2-3 years, right? I want to get to that point where I can say I'm a 7-figure earner. If someone doesn't want that and we have to chase them, dude, for sales, like my sales team, I said, don't chase people, because we're looking for the behaviors and the characteristics of people who are already earning 7 figures when they're not, right? Okay. And so that's what we look for more than alignment of energy. We think the alignment of energy naturally happens, but just like with you guys and in your client base, who's going to crush it with you guys to a certain degree and who's not.
I know, yeah. And that's what you said resonated with me, because I have my telemarketing team that they don't really do telemarketing. All I do is they do follow-ups on the appointments that I have and the contracts they would send and whatnot. I always said to them, if you have to chase them to sign a contract, don't.
Yeah, good for you.
Don't. I mean, do a friendly follow-up, explain them why it's the best, outcome to come and work with VOOV virtual assistants. But if you have to convince them that they need to increase their bottom line and they have to increase their production and have an appointment setter to be able to do other stuff, or have an admin assistant to free up their time and increase their production, then that's probably not a good client for us, right? Because they don't have the mindset yet. And I think mindset is something that you have it or not.
Totally.
I mean, you can, I guess by association, you can pick some of the mindset from others, but normally it's something in you. That's part in you that tells you, I want more, and I want it now, right? So if you have a client that's lingering and doesn't want to move forward and they're scared of the market, and it's probably not a good client for us either.
And what we found is those individuals, just like you guys, if you got, people come to me and they're like, man, coach, what script can I use for this lead, right? What can I say to get this person to move forward? And granted, I want to give them dialogue that's effective. We teach what's called education-based, value-driven selling, right? It's our own process where we use data to educate the client, right? To be able to move through the sales process, right? To be able to get that to an appointment, get that appointment out to show or out, on the market for a listing, right? There's different skills that are required for these different segments of the sales process. But I'll tell them, if you have to do a lot of heavy pushing, lifting, right? And, there isn't a script or a dialogue to take someone who's unmotivated and turn them into motivated. Now, there's dialogue to be able to move someone a little bit quicker down the sales funnel and the sales process.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's different with your seller or your buyer. I mean, you have to sometimes convince them, but for yourself, you have to be convinced that you want it and you can do it. Because you always say, it's mindset over market. It's not the market, it's your mindset.
That's right.
That's what you say all the time. So I'm sure that's critical to the conversations that you're having with this teams, his mindset.
When we
right?
get, and one of the interesting things about mindset is because there's a lot of people out there that are going to teach you, and we believe in this. I have something that's called the 6x10 or the 1800. It's got 2 different names, and it's 6 things that people can do every single day. I didn't rip it off. I took the idea. I did 75 hard back when it was the thing.
I did it too. I did it too. Fuck yes. I mean, it was life changing for me when
totally
it did
life changing. So. I remember it's snowing outside and I'm like doing my second workout and I'm and you feel like a badass, right? You're just cars are going by and they're like, who's this crazy guy? And I'm like, right. So fun and challenging and stressful and everything else that you like about anything that's a big challenge that you're going to take on. But I said, I want to create something from a mental standpoint to help with the personal psychology of agents. It can't be something as hard as Frisella, right? Because 99.9% of the agent population would go, there's no way I'm going to do that. But is there something we could make, digestible for an agent or a salesperson they could do every single day, right? That was just a simple system. So here's what it is. number one, get 10 minutes of working out in every single day. Just move your body in 10 minutes. If you can break a little tiny sweat, right? You get that body gets the mind going, it gets your endorphins going, etc. Right? Okay. Number two is I do believe in affirmations, right? I do them every single day. So have 5 to 10 affirmations that you recite. It's 10 ideally, right? You don't change them. You keep with them for a good year to reinforce. Number three is 10 minutes of listening to something that's either going to motivate and inspire you or is going to educate you, right? And that's what I call the morning launch. It's 3 segments of 10, right? 10 minutes, 10 affirmations, 10 minutes of studying, right? Or of education. Now in the evening, I like to actually activate more of a delta state of the mind for our clients because I need them to unplug, unwind, recharge. So it's 10 pages actually read, like they read. Like I'm like, you have to read. You can't just listen. 10 gratitudes that are written down, and then 10 minutes of meditation at night. So that's the sort of Coach Pipes G3 1800. It's called 1800 because they're 10 commitments, either minutes, affirmations, etc. every day times, that's 60 times 30 days is 1800 mental reps that you're doing. And if you do that, right, you maintain a really strong mindset to do the hard every single day.
Absolutely. I never thought about it, but yes. I mean, I don't do affirmations. I read every day. I exercise every day. I pray every day. But of course, I guess I don't do any affirmations or I don't do any meditation, which I think I should probably do as well.
That one's a tough one for me too, because it's if anything, and I love to, I think the speed of the leader is always going to be the speed of the pack, right? And I'm a team lead, just like you're a team lead, just like our great agents who have teams are team leads. I think one of the key leadership principles that a lot of people gloss over is, are you in integrity with what you're asking your team to do or teaching them to do? See, I still think the team lead has to be the number one salesperson, meaning they have to be the most skilled salesperson. They may not be selling anymore, but they still have to be the most skilled. They have to have the strongest mindset. They have to be the most disciplined, right? Because A, you're going to attract who you are as a leader, not what you want. And B, you're going to set the example. And they go, oh my gosh, if this person's who's leading and has all this going on is doing it, then I'm gonna skate in that wake, right? I'm gonna do the same, right? And I think the big mistake that I see a lot of team leads make, right, is as they're building their team, they don't have their skills codified, so they can't transfer them over. And they say, hey, go do this, and they're not. One of our best clients, a guy by the name of Chad Swindeman, wonderful EXP agent. And when I go up probably 2 times a year to Brainerd, which is on the lakes, I think it's Gull Lake, beautiful area, just so gorgeous, unless it's winter. And his team said, I go, what makes Chad a great leader? They said, we're afraid to leave before he does, right? We want to beat him in the office every day. And so you think about that, and that's like, wow, what a standard by who he's being and how he's acting that he's setting for the team instead of just some things written on a piece of paper.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing you always say that, I guess I want to ask you, what do you think about confidence? Do you think people come with it, or do you think that's something that can be trained, coachable?
I think confidence comes from repetition, right? Okay. I look at Steph Curry, who can revolutionize the game of basketball from a pure shooter standpoint. Why does he feel so confident when he's right across the half court line, man, to throw up a 3-point shot for, when he was at his prime for Golden State? Well, it's because he's taking that shot. He takes it 500 times a day. You know what I mean? So, and so you just look at it, and the more repetition that you have with a dialogue, with an objection handler, right? With handling situations, it's the more confidence you have. I was talking last night, and this, dude, being a business owner, I have these moments where I'm like, I remember when I was just a coach, right? But after I sold my real estate team and came into just coach, and how easy it was being a coach and an owner, managing everything. So I've got a really great mentor. His name is Pavan Argawal, who you may have met before. He owns a company called Angel AI. Check it out. It's a fintech company that underwrites loans and gives an underwritten pre-approval in less than 30 minutes utilizing AI. It just got, dude, just got.
I checked it, by the way. Sick.
Yeah. So it's sick.
I did.
Well,
Yeah.
and we don't just think it's sick, the market does, because he just got valuation, and this dude was already a billionaire at 69 to 119 billion dollars. He's a mentor of mine. I talk to him a couple times a week, and I was talking to him last night, and we're sort of close in age. I'm 53 and he's 57. But he's like Yoda, right? I feel like a child next to him. He just has this wisdom. And I said, how is it that there's such a difference? He said, I've just gotten bruised, cut, and damaged more than you have, right? And I think that the more you can look at those setbacks, like, because I think the confidence gets taken away when you don't trust that the things that go sideways are there to make you better, right? Like the breakdowns are there with a lesson. And when you fail and you have that ability to go, shit, I didn't get the appointment. I didn't take that listing. That buyer ended up buying with somebody else. I showed them 6 or 7 properties, and you can do a little, what's called, I call them the Jordan questions, because I got them from Tim Grover, that got them from Jordan. And you can look at that and go, how am I responsible? When you fail, how am I responsible? What did I do or not do to create it? What is the lesson I meant to learn from the universe, God, or whoever right now from this situation, right? From this failure? And what will I do differently to be able to make sure it never happens again? Then, you don't get devalued in confidence at that point, because you realize that every single great person has gone through that. You know what I mean? So, and you learn the lesson and you move forward. So 2 things. Number 1, recognize that failure is feedback, nothing more. Number 2, recognize that your confidence is built based upon the repetition of whatever skill it is that you're trying to actually install, or get better at.
Yeah. Okay. So let's assume you have the perfect coaching client. He's confident, he has the skills, they have a great team. What is your sales framework? What is the sales framework that you teach them?
Perfect.
Is there any specific playbook that you teach them now to go from $500,000 production to 1 million or $1.5 million?
Well, there's tiers, right? And just like with anything, I think I forget what the gentleman's name is. He wrote a book called Sapiens, right? I don't recommend it, right? I'm a nerd geek and I love reading it. I think it's Naval. Oh man, it's going to drive me crazy if I can't remember his name. Anyway, he talks about society. Sapiens is a book about society and society growing. What the hell is his name? Yuval Noah Harari, right? So if any of you are gluttons for punishment, read the book. But society, like as it expands and gets bigger, has different problems to solve, right? That will either cause it to be able to move to the next level of a city or of a social framework, or it'll fall apart. Agents in moving to $1 million production have the same thing. There is problems that are very similar that agents have going from 0 to 24. They're typically skill-based problems, discipline-based problems. You know what I mean? Depending upon the price point. We know if we want to get someone to 24 transactions per year, we need to lock them in on their schedule. They need to become diligent at that. There's some fundamental skills of conversion, presenting that they need to get down, right? And a lot of times it's not mindset, because mindset will be driven based upon skill set. I want you to think about that. If I have a strong skill set, my mindset's going to be a little bit stronger. So those are the 2 key things that if you want to go to 24, and typically it's also, they need to expand from, most of them at that point, when they're sub 24, only have 1 lead source, they've got to expand to 2 or 3. Then you look at 25 to about 50 transactions, right? Look at that. Like the city is growing, the country is growing. How do we make sure that the society doesn't collapse? How do we make sure that agent is able to move forward? This is where you've got to learn. This is where you guys come in so powerful, because VOOV provides, you've got to scale and grow. You've got to learn how to be a leader. You got to work on your systems and your processes. You take your 3 lead sources, you become much more systemic with them. You expand upon them. You're looking at marketing. You're really digging into the numbers of the business at that point. It's not so much discipline as it is systems and processes and strategy at that point, right? To be able to elicit more out of it. And you guys are such a great partner for that with them, because, dude, in the past, I remember in California, it was when I lived there, right? And we had our mortgage company. It's like, cool. We're going to hire an assistant and it's going to cost us $50,000 a year. Holy crap. Oh, that's like nervous heart palpitations for someone that's earning a couple $100,000 a year. They're now going to put that on their payroll. Oh my gosh. So now we can come to you and go, hey, we need this person, help us hire them, et cetera, help us train them, help us oversight on them, which is why you guys are so fantastic. Now, 50 plus, it's leadership. How do you lead? It's recruiting. How do you grow? It's scaling, right? How do you empower other leaders in your organization to be able to actually lead effectively? And it's also maintaining culture at that point, right? Because a lot of it's not on your shoulders, it's on the team shoulders at that point to be able to do that. So that's it in a nutshell, right? So like and it really, that 50 plus is transferring the skills and the disciplines that got you to 24, 50 over to other people in a systemic manner as well too. Okay.
Right, because you don't have enough time to do it, so someone else will have to do it in order for you to concentrate on higher producing tasks.
That's right.
If that makes sense. That's the way I put it. I call it the Ricardo's law. Is the law of comparative exchange, meaning you're better at this, so you have to teach someone to do this other portion of your task so you can concentrate on the task that you're better at, that produce the most amount of money for your company and for your agents and whatnot, right?
And you know what's funny about that too is people always say, and I see leaders hit this or agents hit this as they're scaling and growing. Well, I do it better. I can just do it myself, right? Well, even if you do it yourself, you're still doing it. My thought has always been, and what we teach is, if they can do it at 80% effectiveness of what you do, you need to get that shit off your plate and get it over to them at that point. Because an 80% efficiency on a task that someone else does is better than 100% when I'm doing it, because I'm still having to do it. So
yeah, I mean, what I tell my clients to do is, all right, pick a piece of paper, write all the tasks that you do, and put a number to it. That's a dollar number, meaning how much money does it cost to do this task for you based on how much you earn on a monthly basis. Yeah. So it's $50, $100, $200, whatever that is. Okay, so everything that is less than $50 initially has to be assigned to someone else. And then once you get that locked down, then from 51 to 100 has to be assigned to someone else. So you have to focus on anything that is over $200 an hour.
Love it.
And everything else has to be delegated to someone else. Why? Because you can. And because you keep doing it, you're going to stay at that $50, $70 an hour range of tasks, where you can be performing $400, $500, $1,000, an hour task. And that's how because you got to put a number in front of them for them to get it sometimes. Like, yeah, totally. Oh shit, I'm doing stuff that is $50 an hour. That's crazy. I mean, why? Right? I'm making $500,000 and I'm still, submitting papers,
We do a really interesting exercise with all of our clients within typically the first 90 days, right? Because I love what you said. It completely aligns with what I'm going to say, is this. We have them, they tell us their goal. Let's say someone says, okay, I'm committed to earning 400,000, right? We say, take that 400,000, I'm doing the math right now, and divide it by 2,080. That's how many billable hours there are in a year, right? And right. So it comes up to $192. That's your hourly. Anything that's below 192 that you can give to somebody else. If you're saying yes to a task, I call it the 4 Ds. If it's 192, I can look at this and go, this is a $192 task for this next hour. Do it. If it's 192, but it's not urgent, delay it. I call it the 4 Ds. I can delay that off. But if it's less than 192, you delegate it, right? This is where the magic happens. And if it's way less than 192, like I'm scrolling Instagram and doing bullshit, right? Then you delete it, right? So do it if it aligns, delay it if it aligns, but it isn't urgent, right? Delegate it if someone else can do it at a lower cost basis than you can, or delete it if it's something that isn't driving any revenue whatsoever. So, yeah.
Yeah, so and I spoke in your boot camp probably like 2 months ago. Yeah. And what was one of the things I said is, for the ones that don't know, I trained a 22-year-old girl from Central America with zero experience in construction how to run a flipping company that is producing over $2 million a year.
It's insane.
If I did that, anyone can train and teach anyone anything.
Yeah.
She's 22 years old, somewhat shy sometimes, and I trained her and taught her how to run a flipping company. Where all I do, Bill, is I negotiate contracts with sellers, and that's like a $40,000 an hour task because every flip that we do is about 40,000, and then I negotiate contracts with my buyers once I put the property on the market.
Yep.
And I negotiate with the agents. That's it. That's all I do. I don't do anything else. And that young lady, 22 years old from Nicaragua, is running the entire company. I said, okay, so if I did it, everyone can do it.
Yeah.
I'm not special. I just took the time to teach her. It was not easy. It took me about 4 months, but I did it.
Yep.
And
she probably screwed it up along the way, made some mistakes, etc. I think that's the other thing too. I have someone that I coach who will remain nameless, and she hired a new assistant, and she, like, on her own without me, I would have directed her over to you, right? But on her own, and I showed up on a coaching call, and she's like, "I got a new assistant." I'm like, "When?" And she's like, "I really needed it, etc." Yeah, and I'm like, well, we should have talked about it. We should have actually gone through the process, and we should have outlined the job description. And she's like, well, I was just, that state of desperation hire that I think we've all done. 2 weeks later, I jump on not even 2 weeks. It was 1 week later. I jump on a call with her. She's like, I made the wrong hire. I'm like, did you make the wrong hire, or did you just not have the system in place to be able to train them and have the patience to be able to walk them through it? That's what I think that you're brilliant at, man, is you're systemic, right? Right? And also you got the patience to let people, they're going to screw it up a little bit, right? But our mantra over here is, right, and this is with the business, with the clients, with my kids, it's okay to make a mistake once you take a risk, but it's not okay to make the same mistake twice, because the first time you make a mistake, it's a mistake. The second time you make a mistake, it's a choice that you made because you didn't get the lesson from those mistakes.
I put it in a different way. I said it's okay to make a mistake. It's not okay to commit a sin.
Ooh.
Because what I consider mistakes are inherently to either training or coaching or the situation itself. A sin is that you're betraying the company based on the core values of the company.
Brilliant.
So my companies have very specific core values, and if any of my guys go against that, that's a sin. And then there's no coaching, there's nothing. There's one strike and you're out, right? But then you have people that they're gonna make mistakes. It's normal. So one of the things I've seen as well is that they get desperate, like you said. This person is screwing everything. How much time are you spending with your employee? Doesn't have to be a VA or anything, with your employee or even with your agent. How much time are you spending on a weekly basis with them? Are you just explaining the task for 2 minutes and then bouncing off to your next trip to Cancun? Or are you really in the business, explaining everything as it should be, and on the trenches with your people? That's
in the foxhole, man.
That's the way.
Most people walk in, a new assistant, and they go, okay, here you go, right? It's like, okay, right? So that's why you guys are.
It's not gonna work.
That's why you guys are.
It's not gonna work, people. So let's say you have a team, high producing team, agent, high producing agent, and production starts to drop. What is the first thing that you do with this type of clients? What is your approach?
So if it's a client or if it's a team member, that I used to have a good sized real estate team. The first thing I go to is there anything going on personally for them that's causing them to drop? It literally is the first place that I go, because a drop in production means two things. It means they've lost focus, and that focus has gone someplace else, or they weren't doing the things 60 to 90 days ago that they needed to. And, how do I get them back on track for that and help them understand they got a 20 to 30 day gap where their production's going to be off, right? So those are the two things. Like, is there an issue going on personally for them before professional, right? Because I do care about the people first. I care about them as people first, right? Like that's our culture. I think that empathy is one of the things that separates me as a leader us as a company, we really truly care about every single client, and their lives and what's going on. But then if there's nothing going on personally for them, then we know that they stop doing some of the key things, the key four things. Like, did their calling drop off? Did their marketing, did they pull back on that? Are they not doing the fundamental we 5 things to thrive? Prospect every day, follow up on leads, be able to actually go on presentations or get face to face and belly to belly every single day, practice your scripts and dialogues. Like, we know that those are the key things that if you do it, did they stop showing up in the office? Right. Okay. And so you look at, what do we need to get back to immediately? Because chances are they stopped doing the things that they needed to do because they were doing well. Right. And then they started buying their own press releases and buying into those. Right.
And they get complacent.
And then they get complacent, right? And so our job as leaders is to recognize in advance, this person's doing really well. Let's make sure, because we have the tendency, I think, as leaders, I have in the past, someone's doing well, I'm not going to worry about them. But really, they're doing,
right.
I need to put attention towards it, because that person that's doing well right now, if they stop what got them there in the first place, which a lot of times happens, then they're going to be hurting in about 60 to 90 days, right? After all their escrows close and all that work. And then they're on that crazy treadmill of start it all over again. So for yourself, keep an eye on, don't fall off of your key tasks that are going to drive your business and got you into the successful situation that you're in to begin with. But if you're a leader, keep an eye on your producers as well too. Make sure that they haven't fallen off, because production is a lag indicator. Closings is a lag indicator. Keep your eye on the lead indicators, calls, dials, appointments, right? All of it needs to be just as important as the closings.
It makes a lot of sense. So I have 2 more questions.
Sure.
The first question that I have was actually a client of mine, and she said to me, I need Bill to answer this because she's going through that.
Right on.
Right. So when can a high producing agent determine that they can create a team? What is the sweet spot? Like, all right, I want to build a team. Am I ready or not?
Yeah.
Because a lot of them start teams and 6 months into it, they give up, or a year into it, they recruited 10 agents and the next year they're down to 2. And it's like, an ever climbing mountain that they never reached the top. It's like, what is it that you see? What do you recommend in this case?
The minute you start to feel like you're slipping on your ability to be able to actually follow up with the and your schedule is strong, right? Okay. I would say this, the first person on the team that I'm going to hire is, I'm going to come to you guys and I'm going to hire myself an assistant to help out in ops, right? Okay. That's number one, right? I'm not going to, this really frustrates me. It's my belief. I could be wrong. I could be right. I've been right more than wrong with this. Get yourself the ops side first before you start adding team members in, right? Because part of the value proposition that you provide someone, right, who's coming into your team is, we're going to take a lot of this shit off your plate so you can go be a great salesperson, right? And if you don't have ops in place, right, my time is going to be eaten up. As a leader, I can't pour into my team members at the level that they need, because I'm still, busy handling all the minutia as well too. So I believe in getting 1 or 2 assistants first, maxing that out, right? Then bringing on the team members, right? And so typically where we see production at for a single agent to be able to actually, with 1 or 2 ops to be able to hit, it's about 40 or 50 transactions. You can get to 40 or 50 if you're willing to work and put the time in, right? Where you start to build the team is at that 40 plus, and you start saying, okay, I need someone to be able to maybe go on my showings for me. I'll bring on a production partner, right? Okay. But, or I'll bring on a legitimate team member at this point. But recognize, like, when you do that, your return on investment is not going to take place for 6 months in many cases. Time, energy, effort, and money that you put into it, right? So I would say at about 30, start thinking about it. At about 20, start thinking about your first assistant. At about 35 or 40, start thinking about your second. And 50 plus, when you have more abundance of leads than you can handle at that point, is where you start looking at bringing on 1, maybe 2. Right. And I like to recruit 2, right? The culture's a little bit better, right? If 1 fails, I'm left with 1 versus left with none at that point. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a perfect answer.
Yeah.
All right. So Second question, and this is because I have a virtual assistant company. What is your take about virtual assistants, and how do you believe that teams and agents should utilize? Well, you kind of answered that already, but is there anything else that you want to add to that? How they should utilize virtual assistants to stay productive and lean in a market that we all know it's very tight, because the margins in real estate are not phenomenal all the time, right? Especially if you have a team or you have a brokerage, you need to be able to leverage that, which is your bottom line in regards to labor. So what is your take on that, Bill?
If you're not systemic and formatted, as a human being, use you guys, use VOOV, right? Period. Right? Like, and even if you are, use it. And this isn't a ruthless plug. It's like legit. International, like running an international team on your own, can be a shit show, right? It really can, right? I've seen it happen so much. Someone goes, I'm going to get a virtual. I just had someone that got a virtual assistant, didn't use you guys, right, et cetera, because they're like, oh, well, I'm going to use this. I'm going to do it myself. And guess what? That virtual assistant is gone after 90 days, right? Why? Because they didn't train them right. They didn't train them appropriately. They didn't have the systems in place, right? And they got frustrated and said, see you later, okay? So if you're going to use, unless you're a highly systemic team already, you got to find a company, preferably these guys right here, to be able to actually take the training off of your shoulders so you can go be a great salesperson, period, great leader, etc. And you're going to learn by watching, right? Serge and his team be able to do this, what you need to do in the future as well too. And not saying you don't use them again, but saying you get there faster at that point. I think it's absolutely ridiculous not to have an assistant in the space of real estate in today's world with the low cost investment that there is to be able to actually get a really high quality product of an ops person or an EA. Like, it's just stupid. It's straight up stupid, right? To do it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Bill, for sharing your wisdom with us.
Yeah.
For all the listeners that we're going to have in this episode, what I'm sure there are going to be more than 50 or 100,000 listeners. Is there anything else that you want to add to this conversation?
The people that win are the ones that just keep going when others stop. Period. Yes, it's a problematic market, but real estate, dude, is a 6-year cycle, typically 6 or 7 years. We're, like you said, we're 3 years in this real estate recession. What does that mean? Unless there's like some black swan event that's on the horizon, knock on wood, right? We are knock on that wood behind you, and I'll knock on this right here. But unless there's a black swan event that takes place, we should be poised with all the data that I'm getting, with the switchover for the Fed chair, right? With the normal trend line of real estate, we should be poised for a really good run for a couple of years, right? And, the more my uncle, who's a Marine, right? I keep his book. He's passed away up above my head at all times. I look at him, there's him, he's right there. There's Mike Ferry, like those are my mentors that really impacted me. And I look at them every single day. He said this: the more you sweat in training, the less you bleed in battle. The more you sweat in training, the less you bleed in battle. I would say the more you exercise relentless discipline and execution right now, right, the more opportunity you're going to have in the future. Make a lot of money, serve a lot of people. Don't be a dumbass with your money, right? Sit on it, right? Okay. Scale yourself. And when the market turns down again, which it will, you're sitting on a boatload of capital to create generational wealth. That's what I want for every single person that's listening, that's part of us, that's not part of us, is that future for yourself, your family, your kids, your kids' kids. So, but it does require, it comes at the cost of sacrifice, hard work, and massive discipline. So
there you go. Thank you very much, Bill. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Me on. Super grateful always.
Cool.
Good.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Yep.
Good. Bill, thank you for bringing the fire, the heart, and the wisdom today. You've coached thousands, and I know this conversation will light up many more today. And to everyone listening, this episode might be the one that changes everything for you if you act on it. If this brought you value, don't forget to follow, like, share, and leave a comment. Until next time, step in your power, speak your truth, and keep cracking the code.